Okay, YouTubers and space detectives, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Now today I've got a bunch of things to show you. I've got some new images from the Perseverance rover, and I've got some new images from the Curiosity rover, and I've got some new image clips I've done of Jezero Crater, also showing structures on the ground not far from the Perseverance rover landing zone, okay? I've also got some clips on Mars Magazine here, ArtAlienTV Mars Magazine. Do come along if you haven't joined up, it's totally free. There's been a huge influx of new people in the last couple of weeks, as you may imagine, and all the Mars sites have had a huge influx of new people joining up, and people want to see the new images as they come in, and we're all posting stuff as soon as we find it, and we're finding lots of anomalies, or I wouldn't call them anomalies myself, but generally that's what they're called, because there's not supposed to be things on Mars, as we're told, but anyone that's done any research will tell you quite the opposite. And in fact, a lot of NASA people will say this in private. I have spoken to some in private a number of times, via email and stuff like that, and they do in private say very different things to what they might say in public to the general public, okay? Perseverance Sol 15 mast left. Now the raw images are not really raw images, they have this orange filter on there. Now that is put on there apparently to gather infrared information. So what we're looking at is a near infrared image. This isn't a normal photograph, this isn't the real colour of this area. This sand is in fact quite a lot darker than this. There's this thing up here, this is weird. Say if I was to take a clip of this image here, this odd shaped, sausage shaped weird thing here. Now this is probably just a rock, it's a very odd shape. Now if I was to take a clip of that and then start drawing things on it, like say numbers or letters or something like that, and then post it in a video or on the internet and say that I found numbers or letters on Mars carved into a rock, then that would be fraud, okay? So legally what you're supposed to do is show the raw image and then show your enhanced clip next to it, okay? Either in the same meme image or in the same article. So basically we have this weird thing here. I don't know what that is. I'll just show you that briefly. This I spotted earlier on in Sol 4, I think, 3 or 4. But this is a sort of close-up of it. Very strange. It may just be a rock, but it's very odd and doesn't make a lot of sense. But there was this thing over here. Now this is the little statue thing that I posted on Mars Magazine. I posted this in a previous video, this thing that's a bit like an animal skull, fossilized, like a dinosaur or some sort of weird creature, who knows what it is. But that's a nice close-up of it there. I'll show clips of these as well and compare them to the previous clips that I've shown. But this was the thing that I spotted initially. And this is really small. This is literally only inches in size. What we have here is a little carved statue of a head, or part of a figurine, the head of a figurine, I would say, and is wearing he or she is wearing a helmet or hat, right? Now it's not very clear. Now the problem is, a lot of these things are quite a long way off from the rover, and the rover hasn't zoomed the camera in. I'll show a close-up of that in a minute. I've written this little bit of text here. Analysis of the Jezero Crater clay mineral content may soon indicate that it is easy to mould into sculptures like we have seen so many of in Gale Crater. In fact, hundreds I've shown so far. Some of them are quite large, but there's loads and loads of little ones like this all over the place. It may also contain rich sulfates and bicarbonates that act as a mummifying agent, helping to preserve specimens for many thousands of years. In other words, this is a salt lake, this area, and it would have been full of salt water, and when all that salt water evaporated or whatever happened to it, it would have left behind a lot of mineral content in the clays and sedimentary layers on the ground and in the soil, okay? Now this acts like a preservative, so if anything dies, like we have at Lake Natron in Africa, if anything falls in the water or in the mud, it crystallizes in these minerals, bicarbonate and sulfate minerals, salts and stuff, and then mummifies perfectly, and could then literally almost turn to stone and fossilize within a number of years. not thousands or millions of years, but in a number of months and years, literally. Because basically what happens is it sucks all the moisture out, and then these things can then, they then crystallize in the salts and minerals, and then go rock hard, and then literally turn to stone. What we are seeing are objects and things like little statues and figurines already, which I did predict months ago, before we even landed this mission in Jezero Crater, okay? So we're finding exactly what I predicted we would find. In other words, we're finding things like fossils and carvings and objects and wreckage on the ground, okay? So there was that. There was also this other thing. Now this was found by Chris Cavana on the 3rd of March, 2021. So literally a few days ago, 5 days ago actually. And what it looks like, this is from Sol 4. This isn't the same set of images that I'm showing you today, here, right? This is Sol 15, right? So that's like over a week earlier, right? So that's going right back to one of my Gigapans that I put up over a week ago, right? And this looks a bit like a car. Now, it may not be a car, but it's shaped like a car and it's quite reflective. So it looks like a metal object. A metal object, possibly, that is shaped like a car, and it's on this ridge at the back of the Gigapan. I'll put a link to this Gigapan in the description below, the Sol 4 Gigapan. And I've marked it on there so you'll find it. And it's literally just lying there in the sand. And it may be, although it doesn't look like it now looking at it again, it may be a piece of the descent stage from the rover as it came down. It may be, may not be. I don't think it is, but I would expect if it had fallen down from the sky, that there would be an impact, sort of a slight impact crater where it hit the sand, and there should be sort of sand striations around it where it formed an impact, a mini impact crater if it hit the sand from above. So I don't think that's what it is, but it is possible. There's loads of this stuff in Jezero Crater as well, where you see metal objects and things on the ground just sitting there in the sand, and often they just turn out to be very shiny rocks or meteor fragments, that kind of thing. It could be anything, but it is shaped like a car. Very interesting. So credit to Chris Cavana for that one. I thought that was interesting. The size of this isn't very large, so I don't think it is a car, but the thing is, other cars have been found. I found a few, and I found one or two in Jezero Crater, and they're not very big. They're quite small. They're literally only 5 or 6 feet in size. Okay, they're miniature. They're like kid-sized cars. So it is possible, and this may be that kind of size. So there's not a lot to see in this Gigapan, and unfortunately, the camera hasn't zoomed into all the objects up here, really. We've just got an overview of the area, and most of this is just pebbles and sand in the foreground. And there's almost no detail to be seen where we want it. Now, the interesting things are in these piles of rocks and objects up here, and over here to the right. So this thing is only inches in size. I'm guessing between 3 and 8 inches. I don't know. Absolutely no idea. Don't know the exact scale. Really hard to work out. So there was that. I'll come back to that in a minute, and I'll show you that up close. I'm just going to quickly show you this here as well. I'm just going to quickly show you this as well. This is what I think are structures in Jezero Crater, not far from the Percy Rover. Now the Percy Rover is down here, and I've marked it on here for you. If you can follow down here, this one here, we've got the 2 craters, go just below. And this is the Percy landing zone, just there. You go due north of there, up here, and then slightly to the right, and we have these what look like irrigation channels here, right? Or roads or whatever they are. But there's some kind of structures here, and this is a structure here, right? So it doesn't look much, but bear in mind that these images are quite bright. there are darker versions of pictures from this area where these show up better. But all you have to do is take an image clip or a screenshot of this, put it in your processor, image processor, whatever that might be, and then really darken it up and add contrast. That's what I've done here. And you can quite clearly see, just by doing that, that this is a rectangular structure here. There's another one there. And there are multiple, let's go in a bit closer actually. There are multiple squares and rectangles in the area, as well as these weird channels. There's one of the channels there. And this goes for miles, this channel. It goes right down towards the center of the crater, right? And some of them go on for miles and miles. They're huge, some of them. So these look like aqueducts or irrigation channels to me, anyway. They may not be. So basically we have this, which is the main structure. This one here. All right? There's an inner wall here. The remains of one there. There's an outer wall there. Outer wall here, coming round. Multiple rectangular structures. There's a square here. Right? There's another one here. They're all over the place. The whole area is littered with square and rectangular holes in the ground, as well as dilapidated structures. This one's kind of fallen down. There's an outer wall or something there. And you can see these all over the place. I'm not going to spend ages showing you all of them because it would take me all day. Jezero Crater is absolutely rammed with rectangular holes in the ground and remains of structures, ruined structures which are semi-buried, and you can still see them even without doing anything to the images. You can actually see them. Once you know they're there, you can see all these squares and rectangles. All you have to do is take an image clip from the Gigapan page and literally, like I've done here, and what I always do is leave the scale in as well, because it has the scale in the image. I always leave the scale in the corner, so when I take a clip, I always leave that in to give you an idea of how big these things are. These square holes aren't that big. This structure is quite large. I would say it's about 30 or 40 meters from here to here. It's quite long, and these things go right along into the ground as well, and they may go into multiple levels below the ground, and we're only seeing the top parts. But there are rectangles and squares all over this area. Absolutely hundreds and hundreds of them I've seen. Like I said, there's so many, I couldn't even begin to show you half of them, right? I'm only showing you this one because this is one of the clearer ones. A lot of them are quite vague, and they only show up, there's another rectangle up here, they only show up basically when you darken and add lots of contrast to the image, like I've done here. And when you look at the actual Gigapan, it's quite pale, and they don't show up that well, but you can see these rectangles in here, right? Quite clearly. And there's loads of them further down, and this whole area, I think, that shows evidence of artificial buildings and structures all over the place. But I will come back to Jezero Crater. I'll be doing updates on that regularly, because we should, as the rover has just started moving, this is the rover location when it landed, it started moving, I think, this way. I think it's going around here. I'm not sure exactly which direction it's going in. I think it's going around this part, right? It's moving away from this ridge and going south. So I'm hoping it will go around here and then up across here towards these domes and structures over here. But it may zigzag all over the place initially and take samples around this area. Who knows? So that's interesting. So the rover has started moving, and you can see, there'll be a link to this page as well. This is the Percy Rover page. You can see that it's been moving because a lot of the images have tracks in now, like this one. You can see the tracks there where it's moving away from the initial ridge here, I think moving south, okay? That looks like it's moving south, or southwest, I think it is. So, but it hasn't moved very far, and the image quality isn't very good. I'll give you an example of one of these images, this one here, right? I've got it in my folder. I'm going to show you it now and show you how bad these are, right? Now, it looks fine, this image, until you zoom in even halfway. As long as you don't zoom in, it's absolutely fine. It's not a very big image, right? Now, we were told in the pre-mission briefing that I read that one of the cameras, the nav cam on the rover, is 20 megapixels, right? If that's the case, then why is this image only 1280 by 960, right? There's only about 2,000, there's only just over 2,000 pixels in this image, right? It's a 2 meg image. And it looks fine, like I said, until you zoom in. As soon as you zoom in, it all breaks up and pixelates. Look at that. There's no detail in it whatsoever. So if this is a 20 meg camera, then why is this image only 2 meg? Right? Because I think they've actually switched it to its lowest setting. Or the images they're sending back are full resolution at 20 meg, which is 10 times the size of this, right? 10 times the size, right? And they're downsizing them to 2 meg. And then saying that these are raw images, right? Okay. And all you've got to do is zoom in. You zoom in, look at this rock here, look how that pixelates. There's no detail in this whatsoever, right? None at all. It only looks detailed from this distance. As soon as you zoom in, even right up close, it all pixelates. Now, this is really poor. This is not very good at all, okay? This is bad behavior. If they're doing what I think they're doing. Now, it may be that they're just only taking the lower res shots for now, and we may get occasionally a high-res 20 meg shot from the nav cam. Now, all the other cameras are very similar to the cameras on the Percy Rover. They're either 1 or 2 meg images, and if they're not zoomed in to something, things look really pixelated. Okay, as I've shown 100 or 1,000 times before. But why are we only getting 2 meg images? Why? When we know full well that it has a 20 meg camera, why isn't it being used? Okay, that's really strange. So here we have it. Now, this is basically the raw clip in the middle, and as usual, I put an enhanced clip next to it. If this was closer, obviously, we'd see it in much greater detail. Simple as that, really. So there we are. And this is pretty cool. And even in the raw image, you can see it clearly. And you can see I haven't done hardly anything to it, apart from colour correct it. We've got this helmet or hat that comes up like this. Right, comes around like this. And it comes down like that. Okay, and this kind of goes up like that. And we have a mouth here. We have a little nose there. And you can see the kind of slightly down turned eyes here. Okay, simple as that. There's the chin. It's not very detailed. Not a lot I can do about that. Sharpening the bejesus out of it doesn't help. It just goes, it starts to break up and look horrible. And we've got a kind of thing on top of the hat there, right? And you can see all that in the raw image. You've got that thing on top. You've got the hat or helmet coming round like this. Similar to others that I found in Jezero Crater, actually. This might be a helmet, right? And then you can see the eye detail there, just about, there and there. And the nose and the mouth there and the chin, right? Not very detailed. I'm hoping we might get a close-up of this, but now the rover's moving away, I doubt it. We may never get a better shot than this, of this particular thing, unfortunately, because now it's moving away and will probably not come back the same way. The sand has completely changed colour. Now, why would it do that? This is much darker, right? And this is bright, almost bright yellow. This is totally different in colour. Why is that? What's happened? Now, it may be something to do with these, right? Now, these are clouds. Now, this is a new Gigapan. I'm not going to go through all this now. I'm just going to show you this cloud here. Now, this cloud's been filmed above Mount Sharp now, for a few days in a row, which is the most we've seen in many years. We have seen the occasional wispy cloud. This is cirrus cloud. This would be at an altitude of around 18,000 feet plus, okay? These are ice crystals. This isn't water. Well, it is water, but it's frozen, okay? These are ice crystals in the upper atmosphere, probably above 18,000 feet. I'm not sure exactly how far up they would be on Mars, but they probably go up way higher than that as well. This is why I think we keep getting different colours, because if you look at this, look how yellow this is, right? It's absolutely insane. This is really bright yellow. It's almost sick. It's quite sickly looking, and it makes you feel a bit ill when you look at it for too long, right? Now compare this and look how different the colour is, right? This is raw. I haven't changed the colour on this in any way whatsoever, right? This is where the car is up here, or car-shaped thing, I would say. It may not be a car. There it is. Now, how big is that, do you think? It's a long way off. So it could be quite large. This could be 6 feet long, it could be 4 feet. But I doubt it's much bigger than that. And let's see it with the magnifier. So I haven't done anything to this. It's completely raw. All I've done is marked it here. There it is. It's quite reflective. And it's car-shaped, but it may not be. It just may be a sort of collection of rocks or something. I don't know. But interesting. I thought that was a cool find anyway. And vehicles have been found on Mars, not only by the Curiosity rover near there, but also near the Opportunity rover and the Spirit rover. Even things like tanks as well, which I've shown. But if you look at these images now, where I've stitched them together in the software, they don't match up. Now, some are quite bright, like this one, and some are darker, like this one. And I did equalise these a bit before I put them together to try and match them up, but a lot of them didn't match up. You can see up here the joins, up here, where you've got one's brighter and one's darker. Now, why would that be? It's because of the clouds. These cirrus clouds going across the sun and then dimming it momentarily whilst all the images are being taken. Because these are obviously taken in sequence, literally only seconds apart. Basically, the camera starts looking in one direction, takes a shot, moves very slightly, takes another shot, and then they keep moving the camera round and round and round in a circle. It moves a few degrees each time until it's done the entire 360. Now, there's a huge difference in luminosity between some of these, and the camera's literally only moved a couple of degrees from here to take this shot. And then it moves again to take the next one, and then the next one. But you can see where they join up, that the luminosity doesn't match, right? So obviously what was happening during this panoramic set of images being taken, this is a good example here, you can see the difference in luminosity. That is caused by cloud. So that shows that the cloud that's above Gale Crater is also above Jezero Crater. And that will explain why these are brown, much more brown. This will explain why this raw image here from Sol 15 is so yellow, and why those from Sol 4 are much more brown and a bit darker. And if you look at some of the other actual real colour images from the other cameras, it's way darker. So I'll put clips of all this stuff in at the end anyway, and I've got a load of other clips here from the previous video where we have the things like the penguin shaped object here, if you haven't seen that. I'll put a load of these in. I don't know what this is, but it's very strange, this thing here. This was spotted by Jean Mord. Check out his channel. Go back and watch my previous Jezero Crater videos or Perseverance videos, okay? Perseverance update videos. There's weird things like this possible toy on the ground here as well. So check all that out. I'll put some clips of these in a few seconds anyway. So thanks for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Please share on social media. I will see you soon.